Is it your dream to become a professional wrestling superstar, manager, or referee? Well, you can make that dream a reality by training with Midwest All-Pro Wrestling. Learn from former WWE superstar and NXT coach Eugene Nick Dinsmore. Classes are training right now, so go to MidwestAllPro.com and click on training to enroll today.
What up, Kota iRadio Network? It's your boys, DjBBQ, the megaphone maestro himself, TigerMan, roar, and you got your boy, Cole Dawson. On this episode of Pro Wrestling Uncut on the Kota iRadio Network, we talk professional wrestling, we talk pay-per-views for AEW, we talk The Fiend, and possible things that could be happening for Survivor Series and TakeOver. All that and more. Let's go, boys! All right, guys, it's been a while. It's been a couple of weeks since we've been on the show at, for Pro Wrestling Uncut. Let's start with the AEW pay-per-view that they had, Full Gear. Not quite sure if you guys saw it. I kind of watched some of the kind of vignettes of what happened. I had some sporting events to go to with my son, so I didn't quite catch the whole show. So let's hear it. Dave, did you see any of it?
You know what? I'm going to start off with saying I actually agreed with Jim Cornette on this. The only match I cared about on this show was Cody versus Jericho.
Yes, I could see that.
100%.
I could see that.
They had no build-up to any of the matches besides that.
I'll disagree with that. I thought they've done a good job with Pac and Hangman building up to that, and that match was really good. And then their rematch from this last Wednesday was even better, I felt. I actually really enjoyed an AEW women's match for once. Rio and Emi Sakura had a really good match. I actually thought it was the best wrestling match, kind of bell to bell. Just a match in and of itself. Obviously, Jericho and Cody, the total package, and the MJF heel turn was the best segment of the show, and that match had the most build-up and story. But I really enjoyed the women's title match for a change, which was nice.
But you know how I knew Cody was going to lose?
Because he said if he lost, he'd never get a title shot again?
because Charles was rooting for Cody. And who was Charles rooting for? He rooted for Nyla Rose, Marco Stunt.
I wasn't rooting for the loser. I wasn't really technically rooting for Cody Rhodes. Yes, I mean, that would be great to have Cody win, but I knew that there was a point that it would have been MJF doing something to screw him up. I thought it was going to be a clean win for Jericho, to be honest with you.
The moral of the story is, if Charles is rooting for you, you might as well just give up in the beginning.
I think the moral to the story, if someone has 3 initials and uses their middle name, you can't trust them. JBL, MJF, they're probably a piece of shit.
Right?
TJP, if they've got 3 initials in their name, they're probably a piece of shit. You can't trust them.
Y2J.
Exactly.
HBK.
There you go.
Triple H.
Hey,
we're getting a pattern here.
Let's just shit all over all the important people in the world right now.
So why are we shitting on the Omega and Moxley match though? They had a build up on that.
Yeah, but it was. I'm so over garbage wrestling.
Yeah, build up to just drunk, man. Like, I don't know. I want to build up to like a regular match, so they can actually show off what they can do, not just what they can take.
No.
Well, I mean, how about we have a couple 3 matches before we go straight into the bloody death match? Like, why don't we actually build up to a bloody death match and not just like, hey, guess what? This guy is hardcore. He's gonna use razor wire and cut themselves, and I just like, and even then, like the stuff in the beginning of the match was way worse and looked way more painful. You know, like when they were like actually bleeding. That was way more impressive than at the end of the match where they were using gimmick glass and gimmick, you know, barbed wire net that they did a suplex into, and oh man, they took they took the pads off the ring. Where have we ever seen that before?
Bully Ray.
Or my brother-in-law.
Who would that be again? I'm not quite sure.
Johnny Wrestling.
Oh.
Johnny Gargano.
Let me tell you, have you ever been to Cole's house?
No.
It's
I
weird.
live in South Dakota, so that's kind of a...
Okay, shut up. Let me tell my story, okay? All right, Charles?
Okay.
We don't want you rooting for Johnny to give him another concussion, okay?
Oh, wow. We're going
See,
there.
let me tell you. Cole's house is like the cult of Johnny, man. You walk in, and they have his picture taped to family photos. Not like recent ones, but like baby pictures, like Johnny's does for some reason. And for some reason, they're taped over Cole's picture.
Oh my god!
I don't know what's going on there, man.
Well, Johnny certainly is my dad's favorite son. That's like goes without saying. But I think that's just because he's married to my sister. So
All
my
right,
sister
hold up.
very
So-
obviously the favorite. So
So he raises you, but Johnny is the favorite.
oh, Johnny's definitely his favorite.
What did you do to make your dad mad?
Well, what I do is I'm not the person who's taking care of his little girl. So
Oh, okay.
whoever has that job is by far his favorite. So
Pictures all over with his face taped over yours. I don't
yeah,
know if
that's
that makes you
that's
feel
not
nice.
accurate. No,
Oh, that's not accurate?
Now, on a true story, we do actually have family photos where we have taped pictures over people, but that's a different story altogether. That's just my uncle, and there's a big picture of Eeyore taped over him because nobody likes him, nobody cares. This is my uncle. The last time we had a family
Nobody
football game.
notices me.
Exactly. That's my uncle in a nutshell. We've called him ER all our life, but this just a good example of my uncle. The last time we had a family football game together, my uncle's in his 50s, mind you, right? And so me and my cousins were all in our 20s and 30s now. We're playing football, and he's like, "Well, if you guys aren't gonna throw me the ball, I'm not gonna play." It's like, "Okay, Uncle Steve, you can play quarterback."
Oh my God, we should have this booked on a MTV show with
so
you,
good.
keeping up with the Dawsons.
Oh, I like that idea though. When I go up to my parents' house for Thanksgiving in a couple weeks, I'm gonna tape Johnny pictures all over, just over everybody. It's just gonna be Johnny.
You
and
should,
Candace everywhere.
you should do that. You should do that. You should do that. And with anything that has a
Thanks for the
picture, I don't
idea,
care.
bro.
Like even the newspaper, you know, everywhere. just put his picture, her picture over everything. So, yeah.
Just fold out. My dad opens a paper. World's greatest daughter and son-in-law. Breaking news.
Right?
Oh man, I love this wrestling talk.
Right? Well, anyway, so we go off the pay-per-view and we go to Wednesday. So how do you think that they actually handled that, coming off the big heel turn to go into the next fight for Moxley and, you know, the women's matches? How do you think that they handled that?
Well, this Wednesday, I thought, once again, here's the thing. AEW is doing a much better job on Wednesday nights of making me feel like I need to watch next week to see what's going to happen. I thought the MJF and Jericho segment was phenomenal this week. I thought, and another thing they're doing right, they finally debuted Wardlow, right? At
Right.
the end of the show, they do a great job of debuting people and making them seem important. Like, it's all of a sudden this guy comes out, he does a run in. Oh, the first thing he does is attack Cody. Oh, this guy matters. He's important. and he's got heat.
But did they have a mascot dog?
Who had a mascot dog? Did I miss something?
Yes, Cody had a mascot dog.
Oh, good times, good times.
Very it's a Siberian Husky, I think it is. It's white. I was just actually taking a break because I was googling who Hoovy is, because Jericho did say, why don't you go ahead and Google Hoovy. I don't really need to Google Hoovy because here's one thing, okay? So he said 25 years ago, he was facing Hoovy and like knocking the crap out of him, which I've seen pictures say otherwise. But that wouldn't be 94. That was in 96 on Saturday on TBS. And I know Hoovy because he was here in South Dakota facing Rich Maxwell, to be Rich. He was the Midwest All-Pro Wrestling heavyweight champion at the time before he got beat by Billy Gunn, badass Billy Gunn, and also Ronnie Brown. It's a long story how that happened in one night, but he got fired from the company, and Hoovy tweeted out saying, Google it, man, Google it. So that was pretty entertaining because that was like one of the good points of that promo.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. Anyway, so let's go with the other matches that happened in the show. What do you guys feel they compared to NXT?
NXT wasn't really my thing this week. I didn't really. I don't know. I'm not a fan of Lio Rush. I don't really care about his stuff. I don't care about his work. I don't care about the 205 title. The first women's match was just god awful. Which, I mean, you get two girls that are that green. I mean, this is like, what's her name? Zaya?
Yeah.
It's her first handful of matches, period. And then the other girl's really green, too.
Aaliyah? Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I don't know. NXT just didn't really do it for me this week. Although the ladder match had a very interesting spot where someone almost lost their face. So, and they immediately ruined that by not showing her bleeding on screen and stopping the blood while Io just kind of pretended her shoulder hurt and she couldn't stand up or pick up a ladder.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Yeah, Aaliyah got her nose busted wide open, and then Mia.
Yeah, two girl matches with injuries in one night.
Yeah, and Mia just about got half her face knocked off. That kind of reminded me of Joey Mercury when he got that ladder hitting his face.
Very
like bad.
similar.
That was scary.
I don't know, Dave, did you watch any wrestling this week?
I watched the toys that made us, the WWF toys.
Nice.
Yes. Now, why don't you explain to some of the people that haven't seen that, because there's probably a lot of people that have, but you're in that realm of comic books, toys, and all that with your other side show, that your other creative, it's Collection Connections is what you have for a project. Why don't you go into a little detail about that?
Yes, please. I have no idea what we're talking about.
Well, it's I'm in the comics and toys too, besides wrestling. I do various shows about it. One on YouTube called Tiger Talk. You can find on YouTube under Collection Connection. And I co-host another podcast of indie comics for the Grand Geek Gathering. Right. So those are two things.
Well, the reason why I brought that up is because, like, pro wrestling with toys and all this stuff, and that's a hit thing on Netflix. But why I'm saying that is that, do you think with all the stuff that's happening with the way that both companies are having these, pay-per-views coming up here, do you think that they'll end up going to a video game, that sense with AEW? Now, because I'm only saying this is because I've seen a lot the last couple weeks of where it's been hyped up. They've been talking about that there's supposed to be a AEW video game.
Absolutely, they're gonna release an AEW video game.
Yeah, I think that's 100% given, considering that all the EVPs, all those guys are video game, like, big time gamers.
Right, especially Kenny Omega.
It's a given. Yeah. But, I mean, Cody's already been saying, like, it's going to be like No Mercy-ish, which I think every single wrestling gamer fan has been waiting for the last 20 years.
Well,
It's like they found the perfect video game, and then they've just spent 20 years ruining it and just pissing us all off.
well,
I'm actually very surprised they haven't came out with like a limited release like action figures yet.
right. That's one thing I'm kind of wondering, because when watching that show on Netflix, they had a war between 3 major like action figure companies. I'm surprised none of them have tried or at least put that out there. I'd like to say that everybody should give a try out for now, because Dave's happy because Retromania is going to be on the PS4. And that actually, I can say this now because I got a message from Michael Herman, who's the CEO of Retrosoft Studios. It's actually been licensed as the sequel to WrestleFest. So instead of being kind of the blessed, new prince of that era of wrestling, nope, they got everything licensed, everything all approved. Now it's the official sequel to WrestleFest. So if you guys remember WrestleFest in '91, this is going to be absolutely amazing. And I just wanted to put that out there because I did ask him if that was been verified, and he said yes. So hopefully you guys will check that out. With this week coming up, now we had started because of some plane delay and everything else happening with WWE over in Saudi Arabia. Do you guys think that because it was so surprising for NXT to show up that Friday, do you think that they kind of dropped the ball with that? Because they have the pay-per-views coming up, so I figured we start talking about NXT in that. I mean, you got, what is it, Bayley, Shayna, and the Man. That match is coming up. I don't know anything about this whole 5-on-5, 15-man battle tag team thing, because I know it's like it's the Undisputed Era, and like who else is supposed to be there? That's confusing to me. Maybe you guys can drop a little line on that. So why don't we start with those two?
I don't watch. I'm still boycotting the main roster, so I have no idea what we're talking about. I have seen that we're definitely doing. I mean, I happen to have had a conversation with certain people, so I know that there's definitely going to be NXT is going to have a presence at Survivor Series, so that's awesome. But
well, do you think
I haven't looked to see what's happening yet?
Do you think that's going to be a that's kind of overshadowing their takeover?
Not necessarily
for the takeover.
Yeah, I mean, you hear more about Survivor Series than that.
I don't think I don't think anything is going to overshadow NXT and what it's doing. I think the only thing this is doing, which it's already a proven fact, the first week that NXT was basically equal in the ratings to AEW was the week AJ Styles shows up on TV. So I mean, I think what they're really trying to do right now is get the ratings closer.
Yeah.
And I mean, well, that's really all this is, and it's unfortunate that they felt it was necessary to bring in a bunch of ringers to try to get to try to catch up with AEW, but that's really where the unfair part of this war is. WWE has unlimited resources, so.
Well, Dave, what are you going to watch? Are you going to prefer TakeOver, or are you going to watch, Survivor Series?
Why not both? I mean, why do you have to choose? Survivor Series, we're going to get Strong, Styles, and Nakamura in a three-way. Like, why would you want to mix that?
Right.
But why would you want to miss TakeOver too? Because those are always a solid show.
Well, the only reason why I bring it up is because you guys have the experience of being in the ring and that. I just, as me saying like, hey, you can like everything, it doesn't seem like it holds any like power. Can you explain to these individuals like why do you have to choose a side, and how, to me, that seems like it's stupid to pick like, okay, that one's dumb over that one. Just to, like, can you explain why just be a fan?
There's a lot of just territory that like you just feel like a more connection to. Like during the original Monday Night Wars, like if people were just equal, there would have been no winner. You know what I mean? There's people that felt more connected to WCW, more that felt more connected to WWE, and it's the companies that push that you have to choose a side. It's not like
it's because they always talk about how there were 10 million people watching on Monday night. 5 million were watching WCW and 5 million were watching WWF. That's not accurate. There's no way there was 10 or 12 million people watching every Monday night. There were people flipping back and forth watching both shows. And then there was probably, I would say there's probably about 8 million viewers at the height of wrestling. And then there was probably half the audience watched one show, half the audience watched the other show. And then it's one third. And then there was another half that watched everything. And they'd flip back and forth and wanted to see everything. I was solidly in the WWF's camp. I did not watch WCW back then, which is why I'm thankful for the network now. But because I've caught up on a lot of those old pay-per-views I missed. And, I mean, it kind of, if anything, has strengthened my convictions of being loyal to WWF, because those pay-per-views, some of those are just god-awful. The main events are horrible on most of the old WCW NWO pay-per-views.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can vouch for that because I watched them quite a bit.
Yeah, you spent the money.
No, I didn't spend the money. I just watched the actual TV shows. I mean, they would see the vignettes. I always wanted to watch them, but I couldn't afford it. That being said, I want to hear what your guys' opinion on this, because you're kind of in that age range for like remembering what the pay-per-views used to cost, and then now with AEW having its cost of a pay-per-view. What's your guys' thought individually? We'll start with Dave. What do you think about this whole, it's $49.99 for some of them to pay for the pay-per-view for AEW. So just kind of highlight your thoughts about, is it worth it? Do you remember any of those days that you would watch those other pay-per-views? Like WWE was, I think was like close to like $70 if I remember right.
No,
all right, first of all,
like 30. But go ahead, Dave.
Let me start off with this, okay? The best pay-per-views were the in your houses because they were $20, and you got a pretty solid show. You got some wrestlers you don't usually see on there, and it was entertaining throughout. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was the $20 pay-per-view. Yeah, WrestleMania was usually around $50, I'd say. Royal Rumble probably $40. Those are like the bigger matches and stuff. But same quality. Do I think $50 is too expensive for AEW? I wouldn't say that, but we live in a time where if you wait a couple weeks, you're going to be able to see it for free on YouTube, and I think that's what's going to really kill the sales. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right now, we live in a time where people know that the results are set up and everything like that, so it doesn't really matter if you watch wrestling the night of, when it's happening, stuff like that. Only the really, diehard fans really care about that stuff. Care about spoilers, stuff like that. Majority of people just want to see a good match, and, they'll wait. And that's what's going to be the downfall of that.
Okay. Cool.
I am totally fine with $50. It's when pay-per-views, if you give me a good show, I'll pay whatever the cost is. Like, for a few years ago, Floyd Mayweather fought Manny Pacquiao finally, and it was a $100 pay-per-view. I had no problem paying my $100 to watch the best fighter that's ever walked, the most skilled fighter that's ever walked the planet, and Floyd Mayweather embarrassed Manny Pacquiao. But if you're gonna if you're gonna throw out a pay-per-view every couple weeks, it gets old, and that's why it doesn't bother me now, because everything's on WWE Network for $9.99 a month, so I don't have to pay for their pay-per-views anymore. So if AEW is gonna do 5 a year, absolutely I'll pay $50, because it's not like back in the day where I was paying the $10 weekly for the TNA pay-per-views and ordering the $40 pay-per-view every month for WWE. So like I've got no problem paying $80 a month for pay-per-view, but I don't have to because it's $9.99, and so I'll pay for the AEW pay-per-view. It makes it easy for me to buy it now that I don't have to choose. So thank you, WWE, for being cheap and not paying the boys pay-per-view bonuses anymore.
So what is your prediction? I mean, if you guys are going to take time to watch, and I know you said, Cole, that you don't watch it, and maybe Dave's probably actually going to be working. But I just want to hear what you guys' feeling and prediction are going forward with this Survivor Series with WWE, because really, AEW is only like, one night a week, so you don't really get a chance to see anything. What's your predictions on this? We'll start with Cole, with going with Survivor Series. And I think that's 2 weeks away or a week away?
It is. I'm right now in the process of trying to get out of my Saturday class so I can leave for my vacation day early so I can actually watch NXT live, because I want to see my sister do all the dumb shit and get injured live. And then and then I'll be honest, I haven't watched Survivor Series in years, and I'm definitely going to watch Survivor Series this year. Like, I've been watching 2 WWE pay-per-views a year for about the last 5 years now, and every once in a while, when there's something I really want to see, like Brock Lesnar, then I will tune into a pay-per-view, but that's really about it. It kind of is like, well, who's Brock wrestling? Oh, he's wrestling Daniel Bryan. I'm definitely watching that. Other than that, it's like, okay, just, it's January, so I know Royal Rumble's coming, so I'm going to watch that, and it's WrestleMania, so I'm going to watch that. But other than that, WWE's not must-see TV for me anymore. I don't need to watch it.
Okay, Dave?
Let's see, am I going to watch Survivor Series? Yeah, I'm going to watch it. I mean, we got Brock and Rey Mysterio, which I don't really care too much about. Yeah, I don't really need to go into that. We got Fiend Bray Wyatt versus Daniel Bryan. I think it should be a pretty good match, even though I'm not really too keen on the Fiend, man, to tell you the truth.
Well, yeah, because they shit all over it and killed it already.
Right.
I was super into that with just off the vignettes that were incredible. I mean, they were incredible, but
I love the vignettes.
Yeah, but then they just shit all over it the first chance they got. And I knew it was going to happen, but
I'm just not. The character just feels like an overkill. I'm just kind of.
Well, yeah, because they made it cartoony instead of letting him do what he's been doing on these vignettes and being awesome and just being a little off kilter and being creepy and building it up slowly. They said, "Oh no, fuck it, make him the champion right away." Who cares that we want to try to get Seth over? I don't know. They put both those guys in a no-win situation. It was either completely bury Seth Rollins and have the Fiend go over, or bury the Fiend. There's no way for either of those guys to lose that match and it not hurt them, period.
Imagine a world where boring DJs play the same 40 songs over and over.
Another deep cut by Aerosmith, Walk This Way on Boring 102.7.
Where radio stations play 16 minutes of commercials every hour.
This is Gary from Gary Chevrolet.
And I'm Carrie from Jerry Chevrolet.
Where the request line just rings and rings and rings and rings. That would suck. Radio doesn't have to suck. The only live local rock and roll radio show anywhere in the Sioux Empire. Actually playing music in the morning and the music you want to hear. Your requests at 605-215-5272. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Tune in at kbackradio.com, on Apple Music, or on your Alexa or Google Home enabled device. Also on the Live 365 and TuneIn mobile radio apps. kbackradio.com. This isn't some corporate VP of programming's rock. This is our rock.
I'd like to thank our boys from Bear Within Us, giving us our hit theme song for Pro Wrestling Uncut and the Uncut live show on the Kota iRadio network. This is their hit song, Baker. Find them on iTunes and Spotify today. For me, the barbecue boy, DjBBQ, and the TigerMan, the megaphone maestro himself, and the man, the myth, the legend, who is Cole Dawson. We will see you on part 2 of this episode because we had so much to talk about. We will continue talking about The Fiend, Seth Rollins, and much, much more. Boys, take us away.